What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing? So glad you guys can come and hang out. This is From the Forum. This is our Fantasy Football Advice Network show where we dive into your questions that you've posted on the forum this week and questions live. It's going to be a good time. Got some great people in the house. And so if you guys would just let everybody know who you are, where they can find your work, and yeah. You can start, Jack. There you go. We'll just go clockwise there. Sorry, I need to give a little bit more direction.
Well, let me talk to you then. The Fantasy Joker. You can find him on YouTube. You can find on TikTok. You can find on Twitter. I'm always putting my dumb shit out there, so go drop me a follow or a sub. I do Thursday Thrillers, Monday Mayhem, which is the recap show, and Sunday live stream. The only live stream I do usually, and I answer questions before game time. So go drop a sub and check that out.
All right, Ronnie.
What up? Ronnie Evans. Most of my work's over on Gridiron Ratings right now. However, don't follow me for content for the next 2 months. I'm working on stuff that is not fantasy football content. But Gridiron Ratings is the website, and then have a mental health fantasy football brand that's in process called Fantasy Proceeds.
Hell yeah. Appreciate being here, guys. Tyler, always appreciate linking up with you in the Fantasy Football Advice Network. My name's Seth Woolcock. You can find me at Twitter, @between_SethFF. We're In Between Media. We like feel-good lifestyle advice with fantasy sports analysis. Come over, hang out with us on YouTube at IBT_media. That's the best place to find us. We have streams coming, multiple nights a week. We also have some fantasy NASCAR and some PGA content coming for you as well.
Yeah, NASCAR. Man, that is its own thing. Kudos for you guys, and that's killer. So yeah, man, we got some people already popping in the house. Marcy, always good people to have around. Good evening to you. Tootsie Pop.
Rachel. That's my girl, Rachel.
What's up, Rachel? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we're gonna get right into it. I'm sure we'll be popping in. We'll have some live questions, but there's been a hot thing that everybody's been talking about, and it kind of, it's already happened, but people are still like kind of fighting over it. There was a lot of fab spent, and it's been a question that's been popping. So we're going to go over to the forum and let's see. Here we go. Got any thoughts about picking up Jerome Ford and having to drop one of either Roschon Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell, or Jahan Dotson? Now, this question, obviously, you're already past waiver claims, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but you're already there. If you were in those shoes, are you dropping any of these three guys? And Seth, you can start us off. Are you dropping any of these three guys to pick up Jerome Ford? And I guess you kind of rewind because you don't know that Hunt is coming yet, even though it is pretty strongly speculative.
Yeah, I think Jerome Ford, with or without Kareem Hunt, is a bona fide RB2 right now. Just when you look at the rushing percentage that Cleveland has had the last couple seasons under Kevin Stefanski. So while I like all these players a lot, and I'm not dropping Dotson until I'm dead, pretty close with Gainwell as well. I love Roschon Johnson, but he's more of a stash for the back half of the season at this point. So I'm trying to win now. I have some rosters who have been decimated by injuries, and I'm sure our guy over here on the advice forum is in the same boat. So definitely picking up Jerome Ford and dropping Roschon for me.
Jack, you got a take there?
Yeah, I mean, it's close, but I would actually drop Gainwell because I feel like even though Penny was a scratch, we still saw Boston Scott before he was injured, and he was in the mix. The Eagles, they are kind of like the Chiefs wide receivers. Like, they'll just run out whoever it is any week. They don't care. Whoever succeeds, that's the guy that week. And you don't necessarily know who that's going to be, whereas Roschon, to me, is already in a 60-40 split. It's just them two. they've eliminated Deontay at this point. It was a really gross, like 33 thing going on. But to me, it feels like Roschon has a path to the starting job, whereas like Kenneth Gainwell, even when he did have the starting job, he didn't perform that well. And Swift absolutely smashed. Like, that's not going to get erased from the coaching staff's minds. They're going to keep rolling with him as long as he's got the hot hand. So I picked up Gainwell, and then I ended up dropping him in one of my leagues. And if I could have got Jerome Ford, I would have definitely done that. But he went for 100 out of 100 fab in not one, but two of my leagues. And one of them was Megala Bowl. So that's like a bunch of savvy players over there from the Fantasy Footballers Patreon.
Yeah. You said Swift smashed. I don't know that you could necessarily say he smashed. He ran, but at first contact, whether it be like a tap on the shoulder or like he brushes somebody, he immediately fell down. So,
but
kudos
he's
to the
fast before he gets there. So he gets the yardage before they can get him. So it doesn't really matter if he falls down on first contact. And honestly, Gainwell's like not that much better. There's never been a point in Gainwell's career that he's shown anything to suggest that he should be the starting running back.
I'll throw this over to Ronnie and get his take on it. But all I'll say is that I would 100% rather be attached to the Eagles offense than the fucking Bears. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on this show, but that's how I feel about Chicago.
You can say what you want to say, bro.
You nailed it. You nailed it, Seth. And Jack, I think this is our first time talking, so I love that I'm debating with you the first time we have any discourse. Because I actually, first two things, Kenneth Gainwell is a better all-around running back than DeAndre Swift, and he's shown that.
I agree with that, honestly.
But DeAndre Swift's a more explosive player, and if you're going to have a matchup against a team that is giving you 10 yards of space every single play, sure, any running back is going to look good, and the running back with the most speed is going to produce the most points. We saw that with DeAndre Swift. I think he's a good running back as well, and I'd say he's probably a better asset for Dynasty than Kenneth Gainwell, but I'm with Seth all the way. I really it comes down to I don't love the quarterbacks on either the Browns or the Bears, but I obviously would rather be attached to like a workhorse behind Cleveland's offensive line, first of all, and then if I have to drop someone, I might actually drop Dodson if I was running back needy just to hold on to Gainwell because he's going to get a full workload. At some point in the next 6 weeks, I guarantee you he's going to get 15 to 20 touches because DeAndre Swift isn't going to be that dude the entire year. He has never done that, ever. And so it's going to end at some point, and then it'll pick back up. That's the DeAndre Swift scenario. It always is that way. But I'm with Seth. I don't want the Bears offense. I don't care. But even if it's a 60-40 split for Roschon, I'd be like, whatever. I don't want anything to do with them. So that's me.
Well, wildly enough, DeAndre Swift's season is in the show tonight, and Swift is too damn good. So that's what good timing. Thanks for joining us.
This game was a better pass blocker than
the Bears offense, because I get it. Look, I get it. They've been atrocious. There's no two ways about that. But we're 2 weeks into the season. Are we really acting like there's no chance that the Bears can do anything for the rest of the season now? They had two really terrible games, so they're just cooked. That's it.
I mean, this isn't a new thing, though. I think that's what. This is the team that had the number one pick last year. I just not a huge Matt Eberflus guy.
The offense for him. Why couldn't they do that again? Is what I'm saying.
They can. It's going to get better. There's no doubt it's going to get better. I'm not disagreeing that Justin Fields and this Bears offense is a good buy low candidate right now. But when compared to the Eagles and some of the elite offenses, it can only get so good for Chicago.
But that's kind of like a misnomer, I feel like, because it's the same thing, like I said, with the Chiefs wide receivers. The Chiefs are an elite team, but you're never going to know which wide receiver to start. And every time Kenneth Gainwell gets 15 touches, he gets 50 yards and cloud of dust. So what are we talking about here?
You're gonna strike a nerve. We cannot set this off already. Ronnie is about to go on a rant about Sky Moore in a minute.
I'm sure Sky Moore on, but you're never gonna know when to start him in fantasy. There's a Sky Moore week. There's a Justin Watson week.
Start Sky Moore every week, baby.
Darius Toney week.
All right. We got a question in the chat from 007-ish. this week, Tutu or Madison at the flex? That's toughy.
If it's full PPR, I'm gonna go with Tutu because until Cooper Kupp is back, it just feels like he's getting all the leftover work that's not going to Puka Nacua. He's been like pretty good the last couple of weeks. So full PPR, I would roll Tutu. But if it's standard for some reason, like you're still playing standard in 2023, like I might roll with Madison just because I don't think Akers is taking a lot of work like this first week that he's there. Like it will over the season, unfortunately, for Madison owners. But this week, I feel like you can still play Madison. It'll suck, but you hope that he falls in for the touchdown.
I'm going Madison here. I hate to go against you again, Jack, but listen,
I go against me.
I think if there's a week to play Alexander Madison, it's this week. There is no Cam Akers. I think he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder as well with everything that's kind of been going on around social media around him the last 14 or so days. And listen, man, like this is a Chargers defense that has been getting absolutely fucking gashed on the ground. I think it's going to be more of the same here. They want to keep the ball away from Justin Herbert. They can't sling it out, I think, as much as they have been here in Minnesota. So Alexander Madison, to me, he's a locked and loaded RB2. I don't mind Tutu Atwell. It's like a low end 3, high end flex, but nothing more than that. I don't mind having Tutu in my lineup, but just not over Madison here.
So speaking of that, we're just going to plug because that was literally tied to the next question on the Fantasy Football Advice Network, which for you guys that are just tuning in, 1, like and subscribe to this video. 2, go check out fantasyfootballadvice.com and sign up. It's free to sign up. And then, we do have a pro membership where you get a lot of cool content. So check that out. Ask your questions on there. But let me pop this over. So Noob 187, what is Madison's value now that Akers is being traded there? Does it affect? Does Madison get better having competition? Are we going to see a timeshare that drives everybody in fantasy crazy and, makes them pull their hair out?
I want it. I want to answer this. Alexander Madison is trash. He's been trash his whole career. And that's not fair to him. He's one of the top 150 running backs in the world, of course. But compared to his peers in the NFL, he's not super great at really anything. He's just kind of average across the board. And Cam Akers, granted, not that much better, but he's got more juice than Madison. This week and next week and the week after, I'm not playing Akers. Like the coach actually came out and said, yeah, we're not going to, he's not, this is Madison's show right now. And then we'll eventually work Akers in. That's it. That's all I got. But the value of both for me is dead. I don't want either of them. And I would be more than happy to see someone else in my leagues land Cam Akers starts to have RB2, RB3 weeks here in a few weeks. I don't care. Someone else can deal with that.
I think it takes Madison from that cushy RB2 he was just based on volume, 73% of snaps in week 1, 76 in week 2. And it kind of goes out the door. You're looking more at a flex play, I think here a weekend basis. And I think Ronnie hit it on the head here. And I think sometimes in fantasy football, we fall in love with a role. A couple weeks last week, I was getting called an idiot because I wanted to bench Josh Kelly everywhere. It was Josh Kelly's I would say even a below average running back. Madison is a very average running back. And I think this is kind of the results you get when you have them in a great role. Mike Davis a couple years ago, Myles Gaskin a couple years ago. This is kind of that situation. And now it just gets cloudier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair.
It's Alex Collins all over again.
Yeah,
hey,
first time
you got, okay. I'm just going to be quiet. There's a Razorbacks fan over here. And RIP Alex Collins, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Keep that name out your mouth.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
You're going to – yeah. Anyways, moving on. My guy, appreciate you, Alex Collins. You were always there when we needed you, for sure.
RIP, man.
All right, so let's get the next question in the chat. Nathan, It's Olave or Mixon flex PPR. One, the fact that you can play Olave or Mixon in your flex spot makes me like wonder, okay, how deep is this league? Like, are we in an 8-team league? Are we even pushing? Well, Mixon was probably like he went mostly in like the 5th round, I would say 5th to 6th round. Running back with the trouble that was going. So you could have grabbed him pretty late. Oh, but I don't know who you're playing. Olave was probably round 3 or 4. And like I feel like in those rounds you're grabbing starters.
I don't know that there's a week this whole year that I will start Mixon over Olave, especially PPR. Like I get it because it's kind of been a little bit slow in the sense of it's all come in the later part of the game because it feels like it's Michael Thomas for the first quarter and then Olave for the rest. And Derek Carr kind of looks like, Derek Carr, but I would still go with Olave over Mixon most weeks. The Bengals offense looks trash right now.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is a good question because Joe Burrow likely going to be out. Well, we're hearing mixed reports, maybe out on Monday. So that's going to factor into maybe some heavier usage for Mixon. But like you said, man, Chris Olave is a stud. He's a wide receiver 1 for fantasy football. He is going to see some Jair Alexander and a little bit of Rasul Douglas Monday night against Green Bay. I think that will kind of be interesting to see how that shakes out. So I get wanting to run from that matchup. But we saw Drake London last week have a pretty good game against these guys as well. So I'm not too afraid of it. I think Olave will be up for the challenge.
Yeah, I mean that's a good take. I mean the Olave in general. I mean you see it each week we're seeing them there. Carr wants to air the ball out, like he wants to go deep, and he's trying to get Olave deep, and he's landed a couple. And I mean, it takes one of those, right? Like just one of those plays, and Olave is way more relevant. That's hard part why so many people are going, wide receiver heavy is because, 1 40-yard touchdown, pass is significant points in comparison to like a running back grinding out for 4 here, 7 here, and so I mean I'm with Olave, especially because it feels, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like Carr is just more and more and more trying to get him the ball, and they're gonna let him chunk it. Let's hit the next question here from Tootsie Pop. Start Trevor Lawrence or Kirk Cousins this week. This is a good one. What do you got, Jack?
Kirk. You got to start Kirk. It's combination of because Jaguars, if I'm not mistaken, they're facing Houston, and they're still trash at stopping the run as far as I can tell. I feel like they're going to run the ball a lot, and that takes the ball out of Trevor Lawrence's hands. Whereas with Kirk Cousins, he has the complete opposite problem. His running backs are terrible, and he's passing at like a clip that is absolutely unheard of. And it's funny because like last year he had a career high in pass attempts, over 600. And I was like, I feel like they're going to want to balance that out, but it's not going to happen. And he's going to surpass that again this year. And he's on track to do exactly that. And it's crazy because like I've been so out on Kirk for the longest time because his spike weeks are always negative. Like we joke about primetime Kirk and stuff, but it's like when Kirk has a bad week, he absolutely kills your lineup. Like it's not like a normal quarterback where it's like, especially these ones with the rushing baseline, like everyone's crapping on Justin Fields and he still had like 15 points last week. Kirk last year had a negative point game. If we all remember, it was like in the middle of the season, he had like -5 or so. I think it was against Dallas even. But he smokes your weeks when he goes bad. And so I've usually been out on him because the other thing is his consistent weeks, week to week, have never been like huge bomb weeks. So he's never gone over like 400 yards traditionally. He's never had 4 touchdown games traditionally. He's already done that this year. So it's crazy, like the amount that they're passing, the fact that Jordan Addison is added to this offense, just like, and with Hawkinson and even KJ Osborne and obviously Justin Jefferson, like Kirk to the moon. There's not a matchup this year that I'm probably going to not play him. And especially when it's like something like they're facing, who are they facing again? Sorry.
The Chargers.
Yeah, I was going to say Chargers, and then for some reason I was like, that's wrong. But no, yeah, when you got Justin Herbert on the other side of the ball to push you, it's like it's Kirk all day.
What was it, Seth? Are we in agreement this time? Are we in agreement, or are we still in friction?
I think it's a great place to be in either way. To me, they're both top 8 plays at the position this week. I think Trevor Lawrence has a little more upside than we're giving him credit for. No Derek Stingley Jr., the number 3 cornerback for the Texans, also going to be out. The free safety, he's looking like he's going to be questionable. So this is a secondary I think we're going to be able to attack here. I think we see a shit ton of ETN because this is a run defense, as Jack alluded to, has not been fixed. Will Smith Jr., the number 1 pick for them, has not sealed everything out off Will Anderson Jr., that is. So, yeah, I think you're good either way here. I like the shootout down in Jacksonville. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair there as well. But give me the one that Vegas thinks has the highest point total, one of the highest on the slate this weekend. We know Minnesota's going to have to throw to keep up with the Chargers. So, yeah, I guess it's a little more safe with Cousins.
Yeah, I'm with you. And great, Tootsie Pop, rock on that you have those 2 options to debate from, because it's going to be a good week for you. Either way, it's going to be a good week for you.
No surprise there. She's a member of IBT, so Rachel knows what she's doing.
Well, thanks for tuning in. All right, we got RS German. Trade away Kelly to the Eckler manager, along with Jacoby Myers and Tank, for Pacheco and Higgins deep league.
Sign me the fuck up right here, buddy. Holy hell. Yeah, I mean, anytime you can turn Josh Kelly into anything.
We realize what's happening. Like,
yeah, I think I straight up think this one might be like, you're gonna have to plead with your league to not get it vetoed. Like, this is very lopsided. I get if the Eckler manager is in panic times right now, but holy hell, Ronnie, what do you think? I think this is an absolute haul for our guy German here.
I already accepted that trade. Let's move on to the next one.
Doesn't even matter what Tank it is, by the way. It could be Tank or Tank Dell, and it's still like it's the Higgins.
Actually, let me throw this out there though. There is a scenario where at the end of the season, Jacoby Myers outscores T. Higgins. I'm not banking on that, but I know he's concussed right now. But Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Myers, it was one of the. I don't actually have a lot of shares, but it was one of the notes I had preseason. Was like this. This is literally the type of player that Jimmy Garoppolo marries every offense he's in. And we saw it week 1. Then he got his brains knocked out. We haven't seen it since, but it's week 3 right now. That said, fucking take that trade all day.
Yeah. I think that's a perceived value trade. You can always trade Higgins again if you need to, and you're going to get way more than Jacoby and Josh Kelly and Tank there. All right. Looks like we might have lost Tyler there. Is anyone else seeing that as well?
Yeah, it looks like
he got so shocked by that trade, they froze.
All right, let's pull up some.
I've got a trade that we can talk about because it was really awful, and like the reaction on Twitter was exactly what I expected. It's full redraft, and I'm kind of just sick of watching this whole Burrow situation. So in a league where I had Chase and Burrow, I traded them away, and I just got back Josh Allen and Drake London. And I know everyone immediately is going to hate it. Totally get it. So you guys go ahead.
You said Chase and Burrow, right? Not T?
Now it's full redraft again. And there's no money on the line or anything. But I'm basically telling myself, I'm taking a risk here. Huge risk. But I'm basically betting on the fact that I don't think Burrow is going to be right for at least 4 weeks, probably more, but I'm betting on 4 weeks. Okay. Fantasy football, you really got to take it in little chunks at a time. So if I keep Burrow and Chase and they suck and tank my lineup for 4 weeks, then I'm going to be 1-5. And it doesn't matter if they come back in the back half of the season. I got my ass kicked in the first half and I didn't even make the playoffs. So I'm 1-1 right now. I can pivot to, all right, well, people aren't so high on Josh Allen for some reason, even though he's clearly to me still the best fantasy quarterback. So I get Josh Allen. That's the upgrade from Burrow. And then I got to take the downgrade somewhere. And so I take it to Drake London. I get it. Everyone hates Drake London. To me, it's like Arthur Smith's offense is designed for one X wide receiver. That is it. That's what his offense does. Go back and look at Tennessee when they had A.J. Brown. Drake London will have his games. And if Burrow sucks for 4 to 6 weeks, and Chase also continues to suck for that time, then by the end of the season, him and Drake London are going to be about the same in fantasy rating.
No.
And it's going to look terrible. That's what happens, though. When you have these games, Drake London's already ahead of Jamar Chase by a pretty substantial margin right now, even though he goosed in the first week, just because he caught that touchdown. That's how stupid fantasy is. So obviously in real life, this is not anywhere close to like a normal trade. Obviously in Dynasty, this is not a trade. And even in redraft for other players, if they ask me, like,
kick you off the stream if that was a trade in Dynasty.
Literally like if other people were to ask me, like, should I make this trade? I'd be like, hell no, don't do it. But for me, I trust myself. And I'm like I said, I'm betting on the fact that his calf's not right. I don't think that offense is just going to magically get right now. I'm betting that it's going to take probably 4 to 6 weeks for us to see the real Bengals. If that happens, I win this trade. Regardless of Twitter's fucking opinion, regardless of if Chase and Burrow are full strength by week 10, that doesn't matter if I lost all the way up to week 10 and I'm out of the playoffs. So again, this is like, I get the reaction. I wouldn't normally do this, but I was like, feeling a little ballsy, feeling like I'm going to, and then it just gives me great content because people love to, there's nothing people love more than to come and tell you. Oh,
there it is.
We're back.
I don't know what just happened. I just like hot spotted to my phone.
I hijacked the show.
So Jack
took a sword and put it on his microphone and dove on it while you were gone.
So Jack, I just want to kind of send a rebuttal back. Like I get why you're making this move. I just don't think the upgrade is quite worth it. Like I just think you could have pieced out. You could have just traded out Chase by himself and got a comparable wide receiver back or a comparable, like whatever position you wanted. I think you could have made it, man. I think it's just kind of a rash decision here and selling as low as it gets.
I think that it's one of those scenarios where you're not going to get an agreement from any of us, and I think you knew that when you brought it up. However, I understand the sentiment where you're coming from, and there is a super high level of fantasy. And I was talking to, who was it? It was Josh Larkey like a week or two ago. And we were talking about overloading or overthinking our moves. Like if you get analysis, like it's not analysis paralysis, it's the opposite of that, where you have too much data and then you start to like hurt yourself by diving in further than you need to in the data available. Might be the case here. However, the only reason that I just can't get on board with it is because of the playoff schedules. And if everything works out and you make the playoffs, this is the Bills' schedule. They're playing the Cowboys, the Chargers, and then the Patriots in championship week. I'm not a huge fan of that. The Vikings, though, the Bengals have the Vikings, the Steelers, and then they play the Chiefs in championship week. And I feel like if you make championship week, you're going to be looking at Chase and Burrow across from you.
If you look at what's happening in the season right now, though, the Chiefs aren't the normal Chiefs. The Chiefs aren't the super high-scoring, powerful offense that's going to get you in this like crazy shootout right now. They don't even have a wide receiver.
I think both of those offenses are going to be absolutely fine by December.
Yep, give it time. Don't overreact.
But that's what I'm saying. So if you don't overreact, though, and you keep these – so, again, the argument I made was if you trade Burrow and Chase away now and you save yourself from eating 4 losses, it really doesn't matter how good they are.
Are you 0-2?
1-1.
Okay.
But if you take 4 L's, you're now 1-5. You're not making the playoffs at 1-5.
Yeah, I get that.
For the most part, right? Like, unless you get, I've done it before in a deep league where I was 2-5. I took an incredibly shitty team on the back of David Johnson's magical year to the semifinals and lost because of Blair Walsh. That happened once in my entire playing career of fantasy football. That's not a normal thing that happens. Most of my 2-5 teams just shit the bed and don't make the playoffs. And it doesn't matter how good the players were on that team. So this is where I'm saying, like, again, it's full redraft. I'm in a situation where I was like, I'm going to try this. And the best part, and we got cut off right as I was saying it, is the greatest part of Twitter and social media is I could be right about 100 things. But this one thing that people think I'm fucking super wrong about will get way more fucking clicks and content and fucking all that views and all of the bullshit.
Yeah.
And then why do these fucking analysts always have these fucking hot takes and bah, 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 bah? Because of you fucking moron.
But if it makes you,
All
if it
right,
makes you
Jack,
feel
get
any
the
better,
soapbox there.
I gave.
Hey, so
Never mind. All right, go. Let's move on.
I was like, obviously, I missed something there. I don't know how we got to Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow going bye-bye. I did. My internet completely just went down, so I am hot spotted to my phone right now. So we're making it. I hope the quality is okay.
It's pretty glitchy.
So
5.
well, I may actually have internet.
No, I can't hear you now.
Okay, yeah. All right. So let's get to a couple of these questions in the chat here as we kind of wait for Tyler to get booted back up here.
Funny right now either. Oh, there we go.
Is it okay? I'm online, guys. I'm
right.
here.
There we go. Tyler, let's get to Damon DeBeast's question. Hop London or Nico Collins at flex. These are some really great options, I think, this week. It's hard to not sit Nico Collins. We already kind of talked about that Jaguars matchup, guys. That's going to be probably a high-scoring affair. The Texans are going to have to throw once again. CJ Stroud already averaging the 4th most attempts per game. I think I would play Nico. DeAndre Hopkins limited at practice today as well. So don't love seeing that on a Friday, but we know how Hopkins is. He doesn't practice always on Fridays.
Yeah, for sure. I think his next question is probably the real banger that people are debating over this week. Jerome Ford or Zach Moss. Thanks, Damone the Beast, for dropping this one in here. What do you think? You got Cleveland versus
Tennessee.
Titans, and you got Indy versus Ravens. So, two pretty strong defenses, especially when it comes against the run. Who do you think has the most upside? What do you think, Seth?
I think here in a week where Kareem Hunt just got to the team, I think it is Jerome Ford. You're kind of hoping who falls into the end zone here. They're both two of the worst defenses to play running backs against. That isn't just this year's data. That's last year and the years before data as well. I guess I'll take Ford, though. Like, Zach Moss is probably going to get, upwards of 90% of the snaps again, which is crazy. I don't know if his body can handle that one more time. Jerome Ford, you're probably looking about 70% of the snaps or so. You'll see some Pierre Strong out there. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a gross situation either way this week. But you paid up for Jerome Ford if you have him, most likely, so you might as well roll him out.
Yeah,
I actually would go with Zach Moss, and the reason hold on. The reason is because I would agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that Anthony Richardson's not going to play. So because Rich, their actual main running back right now, is going to be out, that's where I feel like Zach Moss has a better chance of doing things with Gardner Minshew under center. So because of that, and because of the Titans matchup and the potential of Kareem Hunt, the fact that he knows the offense, like if he's in any kind of game shape, could get a minimum of touches, and then Pierre Strong might work his way in a little bit too, steal a goal line thing. who knows what's going to happen there. And the matchup is disgusting either way. So like for me, it's like I'm going to take the guy that I know pretty much has the backfield on lock for at least this week, and also is like missing the mobile quarterback that they would normally lean on.
Sometimes I think the mobile quarterback helps, right? Like I think sometimes it kind of diverts away from it. Tyler, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no. So this is tough because I mean, Gardner obviously much different. So on the upside of that, you probably see maybe some more dump offs for Zach Moss. Maybe he gets a few targets. At the same time, I am also on that train with, everybody's scared of a running back that has a running quarterback because they're like, oh, that running quarterback's going to vulture touchdowns. But typically, if you look, your yards per carry is stronger when you have a mobile quarterback because the defense has to play the quarterback. You can't stack 8 in the box and just eye the running back down because you do have a running back that can move. In this case, they're going to have Gardner Minshew, who they're probably not that scared of, but I'm part of Minshew mania here, so I'm all aboard for the stash, but they're not. I don't think they're going to really worry about him. I think they're going to not be afraid to stack the box and let their DBs do work, at least in the beginning of the game. The thing I like about Jerome Ford and the Browns is the Browns have shown that they can keep multiple running backs serviceable. And I mean, multiple running backs having big games. So, you're going to have, whether Kareem Hunt gets carries or Pierre Strong gets carries, there's going to be enough to go around. The only thing that really, I think, separates it, which Indy does have a good line, is Cleveland has a excellent run blocking offensive line. And so that to me gives him a little upside, but to me, they're both, I mean, it's right there. I don't know that I can really weigh. I mean, Zach Moss is going to get crushed by Roquan all day, and Patrick Queen and Jerome Ford. I like Jerome Ford to break one long one. But I mean, honestly, if I have either and I don't have to play him, I'm probably plopping in a wide receiver earlier, like a Nico or something like that. I'm trying to pop in my flex and not play these guys. Fair enough. All right, full pick 2, full PPR. Raheem Mostert, Jerome Ford, Alexander Madison, Tyler Argio, Khalil Herbert, Jacoby Myers. I guess we're picking 2 for the flex, but 2 that you would play out of this grouping.
What do you think, Ronnie?
Mostert.
Yep.
Pick some other.
I'm going Tyler Algier because the matchup, and they're going to run the air out of the ball.
Yeah, man, that's tough for me. I would definitely Mostert's your lock here. I would probably play Madison again, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier. I think it's a good matchup for him. He's going to get a lot of work this week. I like Jacoby Myers, though, too. Don't discount Jacoby Myers. The Steelers secondary, man, I witnessed it in person on Monday night. It is trash right now. Wallace has to pick it up a little bit. We still need to see Joey Porter Jr. take that next step, adapt to the pros a little bit. So while they have a great pass rush in Pittsburgh, I think Jimmy might be able to dice him up a little bit here in that primetime slate.
Yeah, I'm with Seth on that one. And just an extra note, we had another question earlier where it was like 2 players that were almost even. I have a tried and true method that I've used for a couple decades now in fantasy football for when I don't know what to do with multiple players. And I just go through and I start picking out the guys where if I put them in my lineup and they bust, I'm going to feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
So like Tyler Algier, he is a backup running back. If I played him this week and he stunk, I'd feel stupid. So therefore I cross him off the list. That gives me one more to break down. And sometimes in these situations, I might go through and look at, in this scenario, I'd cross Tyler Algier off and maybe Khalil Herbert because I don't like that offense, and I'm stuck with deciding between Madison, Ford, and Myers. So sometimes that helps.
Yeah, I mean, so let me ask you, because we're getting a lot of Jacoby questions. Even the next question, from Jesus Christ of the league, praise his name. Tank Dell or Jacoby Myers, is Jacoby Myers week 1 right? Like, is that the standard? Like, is that what we're looking at season long? Is he going to have that kind of output, or it was that a flyer week? What do you think?
I mean, obviously the touchdowns that day really made that total go up, and I think everyone looked at that and was a little surprised. But let's face it, man, like Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't like throwing into very heavily contested situations. And Adams is going to see some double coverage a lot this season. I think it's going to open up some routes for Jacoby Myers to get open on. And Jimmy Garoppolo has never been afraid to take the safe throw, so I don't know why he would stop now. So I think Myers really rest of the season is probably in that wide receiver 3 camp, locked and loaded.
What about you, Jack? What do you think?
Yeah, if he's fully healthy, I'm rolling with Myers here. I do like Tank Dell. He saw 10 targets last week, and I like the matchup, but I just think Jacoby, ironically enough, after his time in New England, has more chance to catch a touchdown against the Steelers.
Fair enough. All right. Drill, half PPR. Start Christian Kirk, Pacheco, or Algier. All right, Ronnie, start us off. Did I put you on the spot?
No, you didn't. But I don't know. I need to go pull up my projections for that one because I don't have any of those 3 players in my lineups this week.
I can say it's Christian Kirk easily for me. Zay Jones is out.
Yeah, I'm with Jack on this one. It's Christian Kirk. Great first agreement of the night, I think. But yeah, Christian Kirk's a slam dunk here this week. No Zay Jones, man. And like I said, I think they're gonna want to put up some points here against Houston after like Zay just couldn't get his feet down like 5 times last week, and they could have maybe won that game.
Yeah, that sucked because I had him as a spot start. Now I watched both those touchdowns. I was like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence's game last week, and we talked about it, last night. That, I mean, should have been 4 touchdowns. Like it was.
Yeah, there was 2 to Zay, and then the one to Ridley in like the back left of the end zone.
Yeah, I didn't need to look. Yeah, Christian Kirk's my 28th overall player this week. Throw him in. It's easy.
Ooh.
28. All right, we're going to go back over to the forum for this next one. Let's see here. From Dark Wolf, how fair is this trade? Giving Tua and Lockett, getting Chase and Richardson. What do you think, guys? Is it veto worthy? Is it a good trade? Can you make sense of it?
You can never veto. Unless you can prove collusion outright, never veto. I'm in that camp. And we literally went over this earlier. Like, I brought it up because I knew the reaction was going to be horrible that was the thing we got all off on a thing when you got disconnected there, Tyler, was I traded in a redraft free league, Josh Allen, Drake London, straight up for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I'm betting on the fact that Burrow's calf is not right, won't be for at least probably 4 weeks-ish, give or take. And then, God forbid, the injury gods have not been kind this year. God forbid anything happens where it like aggravates even worse than it's already been re-aggravated. So it's like I made that trade, but this is probably, I feel like, worse than the one I did.
Yeah. It's that's a tough one. I'm also a non-veto person. I don't like vetoing trades. I think that it's too much personal bias enters. You got somebody competitive and everybody's like, oh, I don't want them to get that person. So they're like vetoing, not because it's a bad trade, but just because, of their opinion or what they think. And so, that's also why I don't typically play in free leagues, because in free leagues, you don't, that happens more often. In money, like if somebody wants to throw their money away doing a trade, like it's hard for me to adjust that. You know what I mean? Like if you want to throw your money away, you're throwing your money away. By the way, Albert in the house saying hello, everyone.
Albert.
Appreciate you, Albert, coming over. JC, love you all. Got to give one of these for 2 of these for JC. JC's the thumbs up guy. And Marcy, again, Marcy, thanks so much for tuning in. All right, so I can't skip Dylan here. Who should I drop? Shaheed, Hollywood, or Myers to pick up either Roshan or Kendre Miller? I need a running back. That's heavy.
I wouldn't be trying to drop. I would be actively looking for trade targets. There's no way I'm just dropping any of these players.
Yeah, I would be looking to bundle one, maybe a 2-for-1, get Hollywood and Myers out of there, or Hollywood and Shaheed, and try to upgrade into a better wide receiver 3 option, maybe low end wide receiver 2. Because
you get a running back. So like, what would be some running back targets? Like a guy who's sucked right now is Damian Pierce, but he's still getting all the volume and should see brighter days ahead. That's potential buy low target. I think Pacheco's been kind of meh, but he's still kind of getting work.
If you need an RB this bad, like you shouldn't be starting either one of these guys this week. I know Miller might have the backfield kind of to himself. Tony Jones will be around though, and don't forget Taysom Hill is going to be in that backfield as well, vulturing a lot of valuable touches down the stretch. So yeah, I wouldn't be trying to bank on either of these running backs right now. Again, I think we all like Roshan long term, but yeah, great analysis there from Jack. I'm definitely trying to trade these guys.
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you want, I'm thinking about handcuffing, kind of, which I'm not a big handcuffer personally. I would rather have as many starters as possible. But, you could probably piece those two of those guys together and get like a Kamara and then also pick up Miller. You have that, or you can go the opposite way, and maybe you could even trade one of those guys away and grab Khalil Herbert. He has been, less than impressive. So I mean, there's lots of different options in that with that grouping of players, especially, if Myers comes out and has a big week this week, I think all of a sudden then heads are turning right. You can turn around and you could dish them. I mean, the Najee owners are about fed up, even though, Jack, I'm with you. I'm hanging on to Najee, but there is that world of people that just are like, somebody has a few bad games and they're like, sell, right?
No, he's right now for sure.
Yeah, I like to take advantage of those people, but there's definitely some buy low targets out there. I mean, you could probably actually, maybe you would have to count on a big week from Myers, and maybe you could piece together 2 of those and get like Derrick Henry, especially if he doesn't play this week. It sits out, like there's just a lot of options out there where you can go and piecemeal these guys together and get you a good RB1.
Go see if you can flip Myers for Josh Jacobs plus, or just Josh Jacobs straight up. He's sucked so far this year. He's not going to suck all year.
Yeah, you'd have to. I think you'd have to give up a lot more. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've got this guy who's trading Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow for a ham sandwich over here. So I'm thinking some people might be frisky this week.
Look, Ronnie, if you sent me Jacoby Myers for Josh Jacobs, you're gonna get one of those, like, those GIF files where it's like, like.
Did I phrase it wrong? Jacoby Myers plus for Josh Jacobs. Sorry.
All right, so let's see. 10-team, half-point PPR, 2 flex. Thoughts on this trade? Send Lamb, get ETN and Collins.
Nico?
Yes.
Yeah, not Alex. All right.
God.
It keeps coming. So send Lamb, get ETN and Collins.
Nobody hated the Dallas offense going into this year more than me. When Mike McCarthy said some shit like, we need to focus on, running the clock more and scoring less points so our defense isn't tired, I was like, Jesus, this could be abysmal for fantasy. But I've been pleasantly surprised granted, it's because the defense is kicking the ever-living crap out of the other team, and so the offense really barely has to do anything. But CD is he's a target vacuum. He's seeing like crazy. He's going to be like a wide receiver 1 on the year. there's no way that he doesn't finish top 10 to me, like barring like some kind of unforeseen injury, unfortunately, which can happen to anyone. But like, as much as I like ETN and Nico Collins, like I'm holding on to CeeDee Lamb here.
I think CeeDee Lamb's definitely the best player in this trade by a far margin. I like ETN. I like Collins a lot too. I just don't know if I can do that. Like if you really need it and you're trying to piecemeal your team together a little bit, I totally get making this trade. I think it's very even overall. Like thoughts on the trade, answering the question there. I like this trade for both sides. I think it's a good trade.
I would smash it if I needed running back help. Like if I drafted Nick Chubb and like missed out on Jerome Ford and there wasn't.
This is a great week to buy ETN low. I just bought him in Dynasty kind of low this week. I was really happy with that. I'm actually sent Nico Collins in that trade to get him. But yeah, so yeah, yeah. And I think Nico is actually, while I think Nico is going to be great rest of season, he's not the wide receiver 6 on the season like he is right now. So, might be time to get rid of him as well if you can sell high and capitalize.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so we're going to hop back over to the network. We got, do I trade Mixon and Judy for Pickens and Devontae Adams?
What are your running backs?
I think if he has decent running backs, I'm about this, honestly. I'm not a huge Devontae Adams guy, to be honest, but George Pickens, I think is better than Judy, and I think Devontae Adams is a much better player for fantasy football this season than Joe Mixon with the state of the Bengals currently. So, yeah, I'm totally in on that. It's a good trade.
I almost don't even care who like your other running backs are, because I feel like the name value of Devontae, you could almost like flip for another running back, and then just like you upgraded wide receiver from Judy to Pickens. So like this is
and
you can upgrade your running back. Yeah, that's a great call.
Yeah, Pickens was my boom call last week. With Deontay Johnson out, when he went out later in that game, week 1, all of a sudden Pickett really started trying to get Pickens the ball, and then we saw it. This week, I mean, he was pretty heavily targeted when Pickett could throw the ball, and it only it took that one slant route, and it was to the house, and all of a sudden, boom, there we go. So I like Pickens. I think the more targets, the more usage he gets is better. I think Pickens has the potential to be a real like wide receiver 1. And that's kind of where I'm at. Judy in that offense, while I think he could be wide receiver 1, I don't know that he will be. But Pickens, I think, is like one of those, like he's an alpha. Like you have those wide receivers that hit the field and you're like, okay, like you're Devontae Adams, like everybody is second to Devontae Adams. You know what I mean? I think Pickens should be that guy for the Steelers if they can get their stuff together. I know that everybody, I know Seth is a huge Matt Canada fan.
Love him like a brother. Love him like a fucking brother. I'll tell you that.
What I've been like lamenting the Steelers offense like all season, and I could not do it justice the way that Warren Sharp absolutely decimated this man with his like analytics video of just how bad Matt Canada's offense has been. Absolute trash. Like literally like 90, it's like something like 80% of the time that they're in pass formation, they're passing, and like 90% of the time they're in run formation, they're running. So it's like every defensive player knows exactly what's happening on every play. Like it's that bad.
All right, back over to the chat. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Dylan traded in a 12-team full PPR Mostert for Ayuk. Good deal?
I mean, the timing's inconvenient, but this is still a great deal.
Yeah, long term, it's going to look great. You're going to be very happy with this when Jeff Wilson comes back and Cheney gets going as well. Nice trade, Dylan.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mostert's going to combust at some point.
He said, is it bad? He came right back. Is it bad that I have to have Diggs and James Cook on the same team?
No. I have teams with Gabe Davis and James Cook, and I'm still playing both of them.
It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. It's better than having like Roshan Johnson and Darnell Mooney.
Yeah. I hate kind of crossing the receiver and the RB1 on a team. I've done it. I have teams like that right now. When it's a high-powered offense like this, you could do worse. Again, though, if one of these guys' value gets to its peak, I think James Cook's getting there. I don't mind sending James Cook out. So if you're afraid of the Bills, I don't mind that trade. They do have some tough defenses. They got to play the Jets again, and some other good ones on the slate. So I don't mind it, but it's not the most comfortable situation to be, because if the Bills have a bad week, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, at least, Dylan, I will say with these two, if you get in a shootout, right? Like, I don't think James Cook becomes irrelevant. If I'm gonna like have a running back and a wide receiver on the same team, like you look at the Steelers, right? Like if they get behind and they're chasing, right? Like it seemed at least the last game to be more of a Jalen Warren, go with the wide receivers. At least in the Bills, like it's gonna be James Cook on early downs, like he's gonna run the ball. But then also if they get down, it's going to be James Cook that's out there going out for passes and trying to get that work out of the backfield if they can't get it deep to dig. So just on pure targets that Josh Allen is going to throw, I think both of those can be viable. For me, I don't love rostering two on the same team, but those two are not bad. You could probably move one of them to get something to, package one of them with somebody else, get an upgrade, different team if you wanted to. The downside to that is also on bye week, you're going to be missing probably your RB2 and a wide receiver 1, which some people do that. Let's draft everybody on the same bye week and just take an L. It just kind of depends on which way you like to go, but it's not ugly. You're okay. All right. Odie in the chat, would y'all go Mike Williams or Josh Kelly this week?
Mike Williams, don't think about it.
Yeah, Mike Williams. Shootout.
Did you see the comment from like 2 hours ago from the Chargers coach? Who's like, Eckler's working his way back. We'll see where he is in a few weeks.
Yeah,
Everyone's talking about that, and it's like it could literally be.
I'm still going Mike Williams, but
yeah. Honestly, the coach speak drives me a little nuts. I think my least favorite one all year was the first week when Jonathan Gannon for a couple days there was like, "Oh, I'm not going to tell you who's going to be starting at quarterback." Like, buddy, it doesn't matter.
Arthur Smith, ride the hot hand. Yeah, okay. Well, you have Bijan on your roster. Then you're going to ride Bijan, Arthur.
All right, got a few more questions to work through. Nathan, Chiefs or Patriots defense this week?
You could have worse options in both of these. These are both really good options, Nathan.
I think the Bears probably will be bad, but it could turn into a sneaky shootout. Like if there's a game between them that could turn into the sneaky shootout, feels like it's more Chiefs Bears than any Patriots game.
Yeah, we're also going to see some weather on Sunday as well on the East Coast due to that tropical storm coming up the coast right now. So I think we're going to see a lot of running, despite the Jets only having 10 rushing attempts between Cook.
Yeah, no, Patriots 1,000,000%. I didn't even look at the matchup. The Jets, Patriots are going to destroy them. This is Bill Belichick's Super Bowl is when he gets to kick the shit out of the Jets every year.
Yeah, the Jets really have them over in the draft as well.
He relishes these games. I don't think people realize like Bill Belichick loves to pick on the Jets. Like I had a clip in one of my shows where he's like, he was literally messing with the Jets coaches of like trying to like get them to like take a penalty or something. And it was like one of the few times that he was smiling on the sideline because he's literally effing with the Jets coach. Like that's how much Bill Belichick relishes kicking the crap out of the Jets every year. Patriots all the way.
All right. I'm going to pop over here to the network again. We're cruising through. We're going into overtime for the show, so I'm going to try to get a few more of these questions in quickly for you guys. Fat Squirtle said, who in the Saints backfield this week is worth the start? Obviously, there's some poll going there. Kendre Miller, Tony Jones, Taysom Hill, or are you punting the whole backfield? What do you say, Seth?
If I need a tight end, I'll play Taysom Hill. But outside of that, I don't want any of these guys. I mean, you're hoping for one of them to fall in the end zone. We don't really know how healthy Kendre Miller is. We know he's probably going to suit up in this one, but I'm still worried. It's his debut here. I didn't think he was an exceptional back at TCU last season. So yeah, Taysom Hill if you need a tight end. Other than that, stay away.
I had to sit here last night for literally an hour and 10 minutes while JC and Tyler debated over a DFS lineup that was centered around Kendre Miller. So all I'm saying is that I hope we're wrong, Seth.
Did we end up going with Kendre Miller in that DFS lineup?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. It was back and forth. It was back and forth. All right, I'm gonna pop up another question from the network, and then we'll hit some more in the chat there. Contemplating a trade at the moment. Any advice would be appreciated. Giving Amari Cooper and Kyle Pitts, receiving Zay Flowers, Raheem Mostert, and Sky Moore. I'm going to go to Jack on this one because I already know where the Sky Moore guy is in the group. So let's go to Jack and get the unbiased take.
Oh man, I really like Zay Flowers, but I'm not giving up Amari Cooper to get there. And as much as I hate Kyle Pitts, and the only person who hates him more than me is Arthur Smith, you're stuck with him. If you are the person who drafted Kyle Pitts, I am sorry, but you are stuck with him because you're gonna sell him for Sky Moore, who will get exactly 2 relevant fantasy finishes this year because every week it's gonna be a different Chief. So
he already had one of them.
Yeah, exactly. So you get one more. You got one left. It's in the chamber. But seriously, Kyle Pitts is the grossest fantasy option to have on your team, but there's nothing you can do with him. Tight end is absolutely abysmal. I keep making the joke though, and I'm starting to remember the list by heart because I've made the joke so often. Last week in fantasy, Kyle Pitts was outscored by Cole Turner, Brevin Jordan, every single Seattle tight end, Will Dissly, Parkinson, and Noah Fant, Luke Schoonmaker, and the other one that was really funny to me, Jonnu Smith on his own team. So it's like, I get it, but what are you going to do? You just eat it. That's what you do. Tight end is... Any tight end that you're going to pick up off waivers is going to do the same thing as Kyle Pitts, is probably shit the bed every week and maybe get a touchdown. So it's like you may as well just keep Kyle Pitts at this point. And I'm really just not giving up Amari Cooper as much. I really like Zay Flowers, but it just feels like too much to get him and then take on Mostert and Sky Moore. I like Sky Moore's talent overall. It's not his fault that he's a Chiefs wide receiver destined to have to rotate with a bunch of jamokes.
Yeah, I mentioned it last week. Zay Flowers had that electric game 1. What was missing? Mark Andrews. All right, Mark Andrews comes back this week and has a great game. Where's Zay Flowers? It's so that to me was the take where Amari Cooper's always going to be relevant. I will say on the Kyle Pitts thing, I watched Kyle Pitts value translate from you got to spend multiple first round picks in Dynasty to get them to where today we're talking, I had a guy message me and we're talking Jacoby Myers or lesser players, like a Jacoby Myers and John Mechie together for Pitts or something like that, and I'm like, man, that value is tanking. So I think a couple more awful weeks, and I mean in Dynasty, because tight ends typically take a little bit longer to develop, and Arthur Smith may not be it. They may get to draft a quarterback next year. And it may not be Arthur Smith there. Who knows? But it's not going to be his forever. And tight ends typically don't get going till a few years in, outside of this class, which is seemingly, to have a couple of real gems in there at that position. But, I'm probably trying to get him in most dynasty leagues if I can, just as like a super talented, super athletic stash,
If I'm a losing team, I would do that, because if you're a team that's like contending, the problem is he will tank your lineup. And it's like the joke that I keep making that Arthur Smith hates Kyle Pitts, like that comes from, and I've said it like since basically Kyle Pitts was drafted, is that he doesn't fit into this offense. Arthur Smith runs top 5 2 tight end sets, like percentage wise, in the entire NFL. He runs bottom 5 3 wide receiver sets in the entire NFL. He's basically asking his generational wide receiver tight end hybrid to go out there and block. Like, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I hate when coaches can't adjust their scheme to an individual player when that player is so clearly and obviously like incredibly talented. But it's like, he's winning, and it just makes it worse because he's now set in his ways of like, well, I don't even need Kyle Pitts, really. Why? I don't know why you drafted him. He should trade Kyle Pitts. Honestly, the type of tight end that fits his system is that giant that they drafted for the Steelers, Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
I'm a Sky Moore guy, and I would still probably hold on to those two. And I do think that Kyle Pitts this week, the matchup looks like I drafted him in I think 40% of my leagues, which ironically I've only lost in one of them one time. And so those teams are for some reason doing good in spite of Pitts. But
it's because all tight ends suck. So
this week though, if with this matchup, I expect him to actually be open a lot more than he has in the last couple of weeks, especially with the way that they're going to shift around coverage to deal with Bijan in London. So if he doesn't do it this week, I might be done with him and redraft this year. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with him, but I'm with Tyler. I love him in Dynasty for sure. I just don't think he fits in the offense like you were alluding to, Jack.
So we're going to try to hit 2 more questions, and then we're going to end this thing up. And thank you guys for tuning in. If you're still on, remember to like and subscribe. Let's see here. We got Jelly of the Month, Rachaad White or Javonte, full PPR with points per first down.
Rachaad White.
Yeah, I'd go Rachaad White. I think the floor is a little bit better. I think it's just guaranteed touches. Kind of worried about this whole Denver offense going down to Miami. Like, they haven't been outside Denver in about a month since they went to San Francisco for their preseason game. So I think they're going to get down there in the humidity. It's like, 15% humidity usually in Colorado. They're going to go down to Miami. It's going to be 65, 70% humidity. I think they're going to struggle down there right off the bat. So I'm a little worried about Javonte this week. Yeah, I would go Rachaad, but I think either way you're okay. I hate the Russell Wilson play more than anything this week. Jelly of the Month.
Yeah, I mean, I say JC would say otherwise. Like traditionally, Russell does really good in Miami. Surprisingly, I still think that it's probably a wash between those two guys. I don't know that I'm really like hype over one. Let's see. I don't know that I'm really hype over one against the other.
I mean, it's just that Javonte is not all the way back. It's a miracle that he's back at all, but it's obvious that like they're not like giving him full workload for a reason, and so that caps his potential. Whereas Rachaad White has that whole backfield to himself right now.
I will say this. I lean Javonte on matchup. Rachaad White plays Eagles.
Yeah, I just want to throw in an alternate opinion on this. I like Rachaad White stinks. He's not.
Oh yeah, he's terrible. He's god awful. I do agree with that.
That offense is playing so far above their pay grade right now. It's not even funny. And he's not even been that good for fantasy so far. He was frankly like take your team week 1 or week 2. He had a good week this week. I'm mixing up one or the other. Javonte is going to get better as the season goes on. So will the Broncos offense. And he was one of the guys that I still hold the opinion of, especially after seeing him the first 2 weeks. He looks a lot better than we thought he was going to be early on. He still isn't winning you leagues, but come week 8, week 9, week 10, crunch time this season. Javonte is one of those guys that was marked down for me everywhere as a target because he might be a league winner. So I don't know. And I have Javonte ranked above Rachaad White.
I agree long term. Just for this week, though, it's like I said, it's just his potential and ceiling is capped because we're still in week 3.
So they did say that they could flex Jacoby Myers instead of those. Are you still going running back?
I'd go running back, safer floor.
All right. Last question of the night, and we're going to kind of round it out here. Derek, 10-team half-point PPR. Send Lamb and Mostert. Get AJB and Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. If you really need like a running back and you can also buy low on Charbonnet, I would do that.
I don't mind it. I think it's an even trade. I think, long term, I'd rather have Walker and Brown. Brown hasn't got it going, but I think he will here in this primetime slot with the Eagles this week.
Rachaad literally stole his touchdown with a stupid hold, and then literally the exact the immediate play after, it was a blatant PI. Like the dude took his arms out. It was touchdown. So it's like
yeah. So I mean, to me, AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb are like wide receiver 7 and 8 for me rest of the season, and I think Walker is about RB 18. Mostert's maybe closer to that 24 mark. So yeah, I think it's a good trade, man.
Derek, I just want to chime in because I think I know this, Derek. If that's Atlanta, Derek, what up, dude?
That's Atlanta, Derek.
I think that Mostert's floor is the thing that scares him the most out of all of those guys. His floor is like threefold. One is Jeff Wilson and A-Chain or a chaining, whatever it is, rotate in as the season goes on. The other is he gets hurt, which is most likely, and the other is Tua gets hurt. And so there's like 3 potential bombs for him in the future.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, either one of those guys are like injury, like Mostert or Walker. Walker's definitely playing lights out. Mike McDaniel's offense is going to run the ball. I don't know. I mean, I think you could make the trade. It really kind of turns out to who you like. I like Walker over Mostert. I like CD over AJB personally. So it's even. Nobody's barking at that trade. Everybody's saying it's a fair trade, except for the Mostert haters who don't know who Mike McDaniels is, like it. But anyways, so thank you guys so much. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm going to switch internet providers starting tonight. But so great to have you guys on. If you would again, just tell everybody who you are, where they can find your stuff for those tuned in.
Yeah, well, the technical difficulties turned into one of the spiciest parts of the show. So you can find me Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I'm pretty much everywhere. It's all under my name too. It's at Jack Lusney, even though I have the Fantasy Joker moniker. It's because I put the entertainment before the analysis. I always joke, I'm not a pro wrestler. I'm a sports entertainer. So go drop me a sub.
Can we get a wrestling promo?
Let me talk to you. The Fantasy Joker is telling you, you got to go super kick that bell so you get notified for the Sunday live stream coming to you this Sunday at 11:30. Yeah.
Gotta love it. All right, Ronnie, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm Ronnie. Twitter at Ronnie A. Evans. I have other social medias I don't post, so don't bother.
I'm gonna find you on LinkedIn, man. I'm gonna start finding you on LinkedIn, poke you on Facebook, all that good stuff. Guys, for me, you can find me on Twitter at between_SethFF. Follow us on YouTube at IBT_media. Thanks for having me, Tyler. Good to chat it up here on a Friday. Hope we were able to help people set some lineups in what is a very treacherous time, and it's only fucking week 3. So good luck, everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't like going to all the different social medias, you can pop over to Fantasy Football Advice Network. That's fantasyfootballadvice.com.
Yes.
Sign up, and all of these guys are there. And when you ask your lineup questions, on the site. These guys are going in and they're answering your questions, along with a ton of other content creators, a ton of other fantasy football fanatics. The great thing about having a pro membership or something like that in this platform is anybody that's paying for it is like for real. Like they're excited about it. They're paying attention to it. And those are the people that are answering your start sit questions, when you post them in the chat. And like I said, there's tons of great content. But over all of it is a great community of people. To me, there's nothing like the fantasy football community and bringing everybody into that. So come on over, fantasyfootballadvice.com. Sign up. Free to sign up. You can upgrade later. We'll have promos all season for you guys. And again, thanks for tuning in for From the Forum. We'll see you next week at 9 o'clock. Peace.